Hello and welcome to the 4 a.m. Hostel Diaries, which is our podcast. I am Jagrit,
I am Sanchit.
and we are both law students who just completed their 2 years of law school and learned nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. So, with that, we want to start with the pilot episode of our podcast.
Okay, so it is difficult to have a topic to have a discussion on, especially amongst us, because whatever we talk about gets incriminating within first 5 seconds. So the topic is something very simple, something very light. It's not really light; it's very deep. But we were in first semester of college. I have to give some context, right? We were in first semester of college, and right after that, in second semester, we decided that we will start working like serious law students, right? So we had a plan, we had a calendar, we had everything planned out. And right after that, we were sent back to our homes. Then we thought, okay, once we come back, we will start working on it. And then we'll become serious law students. That never happened. That never happened because lockdown happened. And the topic is essentially how the paradigm is still the same. We're still thinking, after being 1.5 years into the lockdown, we're still thinking that we will get to go back. And instead of changing the paradigm, that is, we have to work from home, at least for the distant future, we're still thinking that we will get to go back. And because of that, we have not been able to properly work and dedicate ourselves as serious law students. That is the topic.
So, because the entire concept of a normal paradigm has changed, people have been using the phrase the new normal very often. So,
Yeah.
basically, we've been wondering that there is no new normal because we are all expecting to go back to our old normal. This is something that I don't think any of us can actually accept, even for the rest of our life. This is a phase that has to go under any circumstances whatsoever. So yeah,
Yeah.
basically it's about the so-called restoration of normalcy and whether it would actually be restored. So we'll just be chatting about it and how it's impacted our lives, this entire pandemic, and I'm sure it has impacted all of your lives as well. So, yeah, with that, I think we can start with this. And for the future diaries to come, which we will be recording in this podcast, there will be a lot of different topics, some very random, some very deep, some very funny, and some, as Sanchit already mentioned, might turn incriminating. We'll try not to. We're young and the
Law
ardent
student.
abiders of
Yeah.
law, yeah, law students.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I think we could, just discuss this in the form of question. So, why don't you start and explain what was the biggest change that came to your life in the last 1.5 years of this lockdown?
Um, People who know me, like especially from my batch and from around, they would know what that change is, right? So I'll get that thing off the list right now before getting into the deeper stuff, the darker stuff. So in 1.5 years of lockdown, I lost some weight, and by some I mean a lot.
A lot.
And that was the only one of the positive things which happened in the lockdown in the past 1.5 years.
Mhm.
Let's see. Yeah, that was the biggest change per se. The paradigm of being able to work in a library and you know just having insane amounts of coffee and reading research papers and reading books, it's still the same, but that did not happen.
That was one significant change that we were not really expecting, right? Like when we entered law school, our expectation was कि हाँ library में बैठ के पढ़ेंगे, we'll be buried in we'll be buried under books and we'll be doing assignments and stuff. So obviously it was a change, especially for a person like you who likes to delve into researches and books and all. So naturally this was a big change. Go on.
Yeah. it was more like that. Right in the beginning, we started writing a paper as well on commercial surrogacy. Right,
Yeah.
we thought of writing two papers. One was about climate change. The second was about commercial surrogacy. Now, we never saw the end result because those papers were not nice, to say the least. So right after that, what happened was ki I was still in the phase that I just have to work for a couple of months. I have to research at home and then I'll get to go back. And that is exactly where the problem striked, because I was still in the phase that I will get to go back in August, then September, October, November, December, and just get going on and on and on.
Hmm.
And for the first few months, what happened was I was actually dedicated to contribute as a serious academician.
Hmm.
Right in the beginning of lockdown, I was.
Hmm.
But when things started getting, difficult, especially in around August, September, I lost all the hope to, do something. And the only thought process I had in my head, at least at that point of time, was to wait it out, relax, and then seriously contribute after I get back to law school.
Hmm.
And that thought process, which striked in September/August, I never got out of it. वो अभी भी चल रहा है and it's still going on. Uh, and I did not really actually do much in second semester or third semester, and we just got past fourth semester, which is really close to the second wave, devastating second wave. So उसमें भी कुछ नहीं हो पाया. So I'm still in that phase, and this phase is still going on. I'm hoping that this phase of changing and understanding that we have to change, I can inculcate it within me this semester. Yeah, that's at least my perspective.
Exactly what you said about expecting colleges to reopen every second month. Like I remember every time we had a conversation, हमारा hope होता था भाई अब तो पक्का मई में खुलेंगे. So May is my birthday and we were expecting that May is sorted, we're going back and we'll party together. Then I think that was when the first wave actually started rising. That was last year. And then our hopes shifted to August, which then shifted to October, November. Finally, in February, when the first wave died down and things were better, and there was, you know, less threat of contracting the virus, that was the first time we physically met after almost what, 1 year, almost a year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We came back on Holi 2020, and since then we've been inside our houses. Yeah. So मतलब वो hope आगे बढ़ता गया by enter 2021. I think we just gave up on it. We were like देखो
Yeah.
अब जा ही नहीं रहे, अब जो है we have to accept it as a reality, go on, graduate, get a 2 MB PDF as our degree, and move on in life. So the very basic reason why our podcast is called 4 a.m. Hostel Diaries is because हम लोग 4 बजे तक जाग के अपने हॉस्टल में ये बातें किया करते थे. We used to have a lot of conversations. But now that that is not possible, this has become a podcast. Thank you to all the friends who wanted to hear our bullshit. This is only for you guys.
This is like our medium of having that conversation, because we still have that conversation, but I feel a lot like the topics of our conversations, they have to be out in the public, especially this conversation. And because it's not just about law students, it's not just about anyone, it's about pretty much every other student who was supposed to go to college, who started their college in 2020, or just like us who started their college in 2019 but never got to live the college life. And it bothers you just a little bit.
That's
So that's it.
Matlab, at one point, I think we just feel bad for all the batches. The graduating batch because unko farewell nahi mila. The batch that has just come into college because unko na freshers mili, na wo log campus dekh paye. Our batch because our course, our tenure or whatever you want to call it, our degree time was cut down, and all the batches in between basically suffered the same thing. और स्कूल के बच्चों के
Yeah.
साथ तो और भी चीजें हुई, बोर्ड्स का टेंशन, एंट्रेंसेस का टेंशन, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. सो वन गुड थिंग वाज दैट चलो हमने एटलीस्ट एंट्रेंसेस निकाल लिए बिफोर द पैंडेमिक स्ट्रक. We got through that. So yeah, that was an advantage for us. So
Yeah.
I've read a lot of posts which say stuff like, had the pandemic not happened, this version of you would have not existed. So what do you think about it? Like, is this a new version of you, or are you the same person as 2019 Sanchit?
Um, I think we've had this conversation before, especially the two of us.
Yeah.
We have had this conversation, and I really think that we have had this conversation with our friends as well.
Hmm.
But again, to emphasize this, I really feel it's not just for me. Everyone has changed positively or negatively after this pandemic. Like it's still going on, and this change is continuous, right? I have changed after the pandemic 100%. Before the pandemic, in 2019 and early 2020, I was the guy who would wake up at 4 in the morning, chuck down a 20-liter bucket of hot coffee, and then just start working because I was preparing for CLAT in 2020. And then I would go to college right early in the morning at 9. My friends would come in to ask me for indulgence early in the morning. That's a side story which we will not get into. But I'll go to the library. I'll come back to the classes, attend all the classes from 10 to 4, then sit in the library at 4:30, work all the way till 8:30, and then come back at 8:30 to grab dinner, and then work a little bit more and go to sleep. That was my lifestyle. My lifestyle, as my friend here said, was typically capitalist prototype, and that was very true. I had very unhealthy habits. um, I had some indulgences which I was into. This unhealthy lifestyle of not sleeping for a good amount of time was also there, and just a lot of things. What happened after lockdown was that I had a lot of time to introspect. I had a lot of time to understand where am I going wrong. Because even if my habits were, you know, my habits were similar to what an entrepreneur would have, like working 80 hours a week, I was still not making progress. And when that happens, that is when you put in the stimulus, but you do not get the result, you are ought to consider and introspect what is going wrong.
Yeah.
So उस time में यही हुआ कि I was always looking at what was going wrong. Plus, luckily, touchwood, I had support of an amazing friends group. Like they were the people who constantly told me and informed me about my decisions in a good way, and they always said do this, do that, and make sure that you take care of yourself primarily. Your mental health is above anything in the world. I did not listen to them then. I still don't listen to that. Like I do not believe it 100%. But the paradigm did change. It changed massively. And because of that changed paradigm, I was able to change many habits. I was able to sleep better. Due to that, I was able to exercise more. I was able to improve my eating habits. I was able to read more, do more.
Yeah.
And um, all of this combined harmoniously affected into this result where I think I became a different person of sorts. Like me being me, I'm still the same, but the values have shifted just a little bit. And that was the biggest thing after lockdown. At least I experienced that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think this entire different version of me wala thing happened with me in the way I behave, in the way I receive things from the external environment. Like anybody who knows me, Sanchit also here, who since he knows me for a long time, they all know that I have a tendency to receive things and react to them very quickly, often overreact for that matter. But during the lockdown, there were certain instances, and also a very important realization that I'll come to in a little while, that you don't have to react to everybody positively, negatively, in any manner. It does not matter, right? Like, and this realization came to me how, because I realized that within the 1 year of not being physically in the college, how many people did I actually speak to? Five or six. The same people who I used to hang out with every day in the college, who used to be there. उनसे ही बात हो रही थी, be it on video calls, be it on phone calls. These were the only people. बाकी सब लोग जो थे, I would have spoken to maybe 40 people a day in the university campus when I was physically there. But call पे किससे बात हो रही थी? तीन चार पांच लोग. So I realized this, that I was taking people too seriously. I was taking opinions too seriously. And that is when this paradigm change came into my life. That इन लोगों से एक साल में मैंने बात नहीं करी है. The only people I've spoken to are the people I used to hang out with regularly. So why should their opinion matter to me at all? Right? And this when this realization struck me, I changed into a different person altogether. At least in this, in this ambit. There are of course a lot of other changes that I need to make, but yeah, this was the beginning. So yeah, I think that version wala thing is very true, and without the pandemic I would have never had that realization because we would have still been there, right? So yeah, that is one
Yeah.
thing.
Also goes on to show, like we have talked about it much, the support system you have, how important it is to
Yeah,
have a group of friends who are always there to,
yeah,
who are just always there for you, no matter
absolutely.
what time of the day. They're just there to make you realize things.
And that is in fact the most pertinent thing, because unless you have a guiding force you will not be able to realize it. मैं मानता हूँ all these things that we have, realizations about, वो बचपन से बताए जाते हैं कि this person does not matter, you don't need to take anyone's opinion to your heart, you need to do this, you need to do that. But वो आता कब है? It hits us when it comes from an external source, when your close ones tell you, or when an incident happens to you. I learn things the hard way. I'm not used to being, told ki ha, you've done wrong, this is how you need to fix it. I will not do that unless I'm completely beaten up by a situation, unless I'm, thrown down and I'm just completely wearied of it. I will not realize it. So yeah, as Sanchit said, it's very important. In fact, it's pertinent to have someone at any point to have your back. And this does not mean that you'll always have someone, but you'll gradually eventually have someone. When you fall down, there will be someone to pick you up at some point of time. So yeah.
That was a source of motivation, actually. The fact that we were able to have it,
Yeah.
like, not a lot of people do. And that was an unfortunate thing in lockdown, because nowhere where you read, like no matter where you read, it was, one thing was a recurring constant. People have been having issues. A lot of things have happened to people. It was very unfortunate.
True, true.
But the fact that you have a support system
Hmm.
who is there for you, you can talk to them at 3 in the morning and just rant out whatever you want to. You can play Scribble with, you can play Call of Duty. That keeps you going and just shows you the importance of having friends.
That's very, very true. And genuine friends who actually matter. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry who comes up to you and says stuff and then you feel offended.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings us to our main topic of contention, the new normal. Hai kya ye new normal, and will we actually get adjusted to it, or what are we hoping for in the future? So, do you think that there is a new normal?
काफी काफी ज्यादा दुविधा भरा क्वेश्चन है ये, अगर देखा जाए तो. यार, I just feel that I have emphasized this enough, I have read it enough, and I just feel that you have to roll with the society. Simple as that. You have to roll with the circumstances. Unfortunately, I was not able to understand this thing beforehand in second and third semester. I don't know why, because I was still in the phase that I will get to go back in November. So what is the point of having online internships? So what is the point of going to online webinars? People did that. People still did that. But after a point, the realization did strike me that this situation is not going to change anytime soon. And if you're trying to resist the situation, if you do that, you will face some negative effects to yourself, and it will basically hinder your own mental health.
Hmm.
So, unless you're God, which we are not, we're just simple second year law students. We kind of have to roll with the society and accept all the changes.
Hmm.
So, uh, so yeah, I mean, whatever the circumstances are right now, if online internship is the norm at the current point, and we cannot go out for legal internships outside in courts or wherever, I think that this norm has to be accepted and certain weightage has to be given to it.
Hmm.
Because even though an online internship is not as close as a physical internship, it is not as taxing as a physical internship. It nevertheless holds some importance. So goes for webinars, so goes for everything. And as a matter of fact, if you look at it from a perspective outside law, the entirety of the world is willing to change to an online medium because the industries realize that you do not really have to go to an office to
Yeah.
send an email
Yeah.
or write an Excel sheet. You can get the thing done back in your home as well. So this thing has to be accepted. Maybe maybe we could actually inculcate this in the legal system, and we kind of have to because uh, again, looking from the legal perspective, especially from our perspective, we have spent 1.5 years attending webinars, doing online internships. We have actually put our heart and soul into it.
Mhm.
So towards the end, if we still get out of this alive, if we still get out of this without a scratch, we kind of have to consider what we have put in. The
Mhm.
fact that if someone could say ki, we will not because it was online, it would, I just feel it would not be the right thing to do.
Mhm.
So we have to accept the new norm,
Mhm.
and online internships and everything online that is work from home has to be accepted. It just, it would make sense.
Fair enough. So I think to an extent we have absorbed the new normal, but naturally because of the last so many years of our life that we've spent in a non-virtual, life, I think this entire concept of being virtually available has emerged only in the last 1 decade, if not before. So in this 1 decade, things have changed. Things have actually shifted to the internet, but उतने सालों में भी हम लोगों को ये आदत नहीं पड़ी है. We still have the desire to go back to attend offline classes, to take offline exams. Not really, but like, yeah, it's naturally better than sitting at home and taking online classes all day long. So yeah, all these things I think are still something that we need to accept, which we probably would not, because both of us know the experience of the last 4 months. That this podcast was came into inception when, I think, 4 months ago. But the last 4 months were so hectic. Like, we had so many things to do. We had internships, we had exams, we had classes, and we had a moot court which just sucked the life out of us. And in this period we just felt so drained because we could not catch a break. We could not go out, we could not meet each other, we could not just go to a restaurant and have food because second wave, and also because of the pandemic in general. So I think to reach that entire paradigm shift, as we use the word paradigm, it would be very difficult, if not impossible. So yeah, I think there is no new normal. We've just adopted some elements of a thing that did not exist before because of the circumstances. But if and when these circumstances disappear, when, hopefully not if, when they disappear, we will revert to that. We will revert to what we consider normal, right? What we have lived through. So, yeah, I mean, we need to get used to these things, but till what extent, that is the question.
Like the nerve there, definitely. Because we have been out for a trip as well. It's not like we have not, but that was, I have to make myself clear, that was when the wave was at its lowest, in early January of 2021. But that did not work out either. We were stuck in the snow for a good 3 days. We had no water, no electricity, no food. Like, we had food, but no drinking water.
Yeah.
It was a bad situation, really. And it just kind of, goes on to show you how important these things are in your life.
Mhm.
The fun of having a cup of chai with your friend, or the fun of having an indulgence with that chai with your friend. Yeah, those are the important things, and I'm not sure how will we get them back. It's just difficult to see it happening very soon. It's very difficult to see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have the hope of very soon because of how the people are operating especially in our country. But yeah, I do have some faith.
Okay, that we may be crossing an incriminating line, so
No,
let's
that was
let's not
about
go there.
that was about the people, not about the,
Yeah.
the people.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, like it's difficult, right? Like even when I step out to buy groceries or go for a small walk, I see people roaming around without masks when the second wave actually taught us that we need two masks, not one. But regardless, people are very careless right now, and yeah, I don't know what the new normal is. Just accepting that there's a pandemic going on and still roaming around in crowds, not taking precautions, or to actually take precautions and accept that this can become a life-threatening situation. So yeah, I guess people are on their separate paths to define the new normal, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you've already pointed out it's going to be a huge paradigm shift to I don't know, change things. Like when I watch films, I get very conscious कि इस बंदे ने mask नहीं पहन रखा है, ये बंदा भीड़ में जा रहा है. But these films were shot long before the pandemic struck. So it's funny because I don't know how I'll imagine the rest of the world without masks maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, given that this thing subsides. So yeah, I guess that is the new normal.
This is the new normal. This may go into a philosophical side of having this discussion, like what is normal and what is the new, what is the, yes. No, yeah,
क्या ही होता है normal.
no, yeah, normal is what you have right now. That is normal. Like we're predicating our imagination of what is normal from past experiences. I don't think that would be normal. That's just false imagination. So I suppose this is the new normal.
आई थिंक
Kind of
ये नॉर्मल हमारे लिए नहीं है क्योंकि हमको ये आदत नहीं है. बट मे बी अ चाइल्ड हु इज बोर्न ड्यूरिंग द पैंडेमिक, उसको शायद सोशलाइज करना है, या फिर वो बच्चा जिसके फॉर्मेटिव इयर्स अभी बीत रहे हैं, जो 4-5 साल का बच्चा होगा, उसके लिए सोशलाइजेशन मुश्किल हो गई होगी. उसको नहीं पता होगा कि उसके घर के बाहर भी एक दुनिया है. So I think the normal also varies from person to person. Like I would not dare to step out without a mask and the reasonable precautions, a sanitizer and stuff. But maybe somebody else who thinks that "ठीक है, क्या है, it's not a big deal. They just step out." So yeah, I mean, normal is subjective, but at the end of the day, is it subjective? Should it be subjective? I don't think so.
yeah, like to a certain degree, it has to be objective. Like you have to understand the rules and regulations, and
In a situation like
then
this, especially.
especially, yeah, it would be very funny if a plane is going down and there is just one guy who does not want to do that thing.
Yeah.
Like he's like मैं नहीं सुनूंगा emergency warnings because this is my knowledge.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would make no sense. You kind of have to have some objective standards of living.
Nice.
Not every subjective standard would fall right on the spectrum, especially now.
Yeah.
Especially when people are passing away, that would be wrong.
And I mean, the entire last year was a nightmare. Like, people said 2020 was bad, but 21 was even much worse. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, if people think that the normal is to just flout the norms, it's wrong. Normal is to just accept them. And I think we've all, to an extent, done that. And yeah, I mean, that is what is expected out of us, right? So, with that, do you have anything to say?
Um, Wear a mask, preferably two masks. Have a hand sanitizer with you. If it's extremely necessary to go out, please go out. Do not come to the hills. Please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't. It's not necessary. You have a very big lifetime ahead in front of you. Please don't do this to yourself and to others.
Yeah.
Wear two masks.
And also, just भीड़ मत लगाओ प्लीज, लाइक जेन्युइनली मत लगाओ. कैंपटी फॉल्स देख लोगे फिर उसके बाद सीधा हेवन फॉल्स दिखेंगे. We need to draw the line somewhere, guys. So please just.
Yeah,
So that was our first episode, the pilot. I hope you guys liked it. And if you did like it, वही सब जो ये फेमस यूट्यूबर लोग बोलते हैं, लाइक शेयर सब्सक्राइब कर दो, कमेंट कर दो कैसा लगा. And feel free to comment down suggestions for more topics that we can talk about. And if you guys want to join, we can also invite you for episodes. So yeah, with that, this was the 4 a.m. Hostel Diaries. Thank you, and we're signing out. I'm Jagrit,
I'm Sanchit.
and that is it. Thank you. Bye bye. Tada.